All right, let's talk about a question that I think keeps a lot of leaders up at night. Why do so many business improvement programs just fail? We're going to get into why millions of dollars get poured into these big initiatives only for them to fizzle out, and what a truly sustainable alternative actually looks like.
So let's just dive right in. You've heard all the buzzwords, right? Lean, Six Sigma, continuous improvement. They all come with these huge promises of transformation. And companies, they invest a fortune. They launch these programs with all the hope in the world.
But what happens a year or two later? You know the story. So often, those early gains just seem to vanish. The metrics stall out, and people, well, they just slide right back into the old ways of doing things. It is such a frustrating cycle of spending money and getting disappointed. And if that sounds at all familiar to you, trust me, you are not alone. This whole pattern of failure, it actually has a name. It's called the improvement trap. And it's this endless loop of treating symptoms, like bad KPIs, without ever getting to the root cause, which is the disease in the company's culture itself.
And here is exactly what that trap looks like in practice. See, most companies, they get completely obsessed with the how. The tools, the Kanban boards, the value stream mapping, the 5S checklists. They treat improvement like a project, something with a start and a finish line. But they totally ignore the why, the culture, the principles, the behaviors that actually make those tools work and stick around. They're just following a checklist. They're not really adopting a philosophy.
So, okay, if focusing only on tools is the trap, how do we get out of it? Well, this brings us to the big solution, what we can call the culture revelation.
And the answer, really, lies in something called the Shingo Model. But I want to be super clear about this. This is not just another set of tools to add to the pile. Think of it more like a framework, almost like an operating system for your company's culture. Its entire purpose is to build excellence that lasts by focusing on the core principles that shape how people act every single day. And this is the crucial point. The Shingo model doesn't come in and replace things like Lean or Six Sigma. It does something way more important. It gives them a foundation to stand on. It provides that cultural why that makes the technical how of all those tools meaningful and, here's the key word, sustainable.
So, how does this actually work in the real world? Let's break down the logic behind the Shingo model, because honestly, it's pretty elegant.
The whole thing is built on 3 really powerful insights. First, to get ideal results, you need people to have ideal behaviors. That just makes sense. Second, those behaviors don't just happen by accident. They're driven by the systems inside your company, how you measure people, how you manage them, what you reward. And third, to get those systems right, you have to build them on a solid foundation of the right guiding principles. See the chain reaction? Principles shape your systems, which in turn drive behaviors, which ultimately produce your results.
And this just brilliantly highlights the main lesson here. You can't just chase results. You can't just yell for better KPIs and expect them to magically appear. You have to focus on the things that come first, the principles and the systems. You have to build the culture that creates great results as a natural side effect.
This brings us to the absolute heart of the model. These are the 10 guiding principles that really form the bedrock for any successful transformation. Now, these principles are grouped into 3 big areas, and it all starts right here, with cultural enablers. This is all about people. It kicks off with respect every individual, and that means genuinely trusting and investing in your team as partners. And right alongside that is lead with humility, where leaders actually listen, they learn, and they're okay with admitting they don't have all the answers. This is where real excellence begins.
The next dimension is continuous improvement, which is really the engine for all your progress. This covers principles like embracing scientific thinking, so you're solving problems with data, not just gut feelings, and crucially, it includes focusing on the process. This is huge. It means when something goes wrong, the first question is, what's wrong with our process, not who messed up. That alone is a massive cultural shift.
And the final dimension, enterprise alignment, is what ties everything together. This is all about thinking systemically, making the whole organization better, not just fighting over turf in individual departments. It makes sure everyone has a constancy of purpose, and that every single thing you do is aimed at the most important goal of all, creating real value for your customer.
So, when you put all these pieces together, you start to see that it's not just a new program you're running. It's a fundamental shift in perspective. It's what we can call the sustainable shift.
So let's just make this distinction crystal clear one more time. Think of Lean and Six Sigma as the how. They are the amazing technical tools you use. The Shingo model is the why. It's the cultural operating system that makes those tools actually work for the long haul. They are partners, not enemies.
So why does any of this really matter to you and your organization? Well, for one, it completely reframes excellence as a journey, not some project with an end date. And these principles, they're universal. They work everywhere from hospitals to tech companies. It helps prevent what some people call anorexic lean, where cost-cutting is so ruthless it just kills morale. But ultimately, it shifts your focus from frantically chasing short-term KPIs to patiently building a great culture that delivers amazing results naturally.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Excellence isn't something you can command or force. It's an indirect result. It's what happens when you get the culture right, when you focus on the principles and systems that guide people toward ideal behaviors.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to take back with you. What if your organization just paused on asking what to do next, and instead started every single conversation by really deeply exploring why you do it in the first place? What do you think would change? Thanks for watching.